All right, Matt Walsh, chat, he had a great documentary called What is a Woman, and I want to get him on my stream so bad for an interview. If you guys want to send him a tweet or a DM to say Sneako wants to collab, that'd be great.
You know, back in my day, growing up in the utopian Garden of Eden period known as 1990s,
I did not have relations with that woman.
we had kid shows, which the interesting thing about kid shows is that they were shows for kids. That's what they were for. And some of them were better than others. Some were kind of weird. Some were kind of stupid. Some were artistic masterpieces, like, for example, the Nickelodeon show Salute Your Shorts, which is a 90s show that every 90s kid remembers and then is shocked to discover that every other 90s kid remembers it too. Now, the thing about these shows is that their primary goal was to entertain, as I remember. And that's different from the situation that we have today, where kids shows seem to
have an agenda.
Consider entertainment sort of a secondary concern. The primary goal now is to ensure that the children in the
knows the right thing that they want you to know. Shout out Matt Walsh, I know what he's about to say.
Audience adopt the correct political and ideological viewpoints.
Bingo!
Wheel of morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
And by correct, I mean those views that are in keeping with the
woke opinions,
mainstream beliefs of our culture. And by that, I mean incorrect. So by correct, I mean incorrect. We'll begin with the latest example, and maybe the worst. This one is fresh out of the indoctrination oven. It's the show Muppet Babies, in which Gonzo comes out as a gender-fluid cross-dresser. Yes, really. Let's watch.
You see what they're trying to do to your kids? They're trying to make your kids turn gay. There's drag queens in libraries, teachers got safe space and everything. There's gender-affirming therapists for 12-year-olds to give it hormones and trans things, trans hormones for 5-year-olds. They're asking, like, now 3-year-olds, like, are you a boy or a girl? Before you can even speak. The TV shows, everything is trying to make your kids gayer. They're not even gayer. They're trying to get rid of the gender roles and to make us weaker, to destroy the family from the inside out. It's a mental warfare that's going on. It's a spiritual warfare. It comes from the top. Why do you think they're doing this? Do you think they're doing this to, like, be more inclusive, or are they trying to destroy the family? Are they trying to destroy traditional, conservative, natural, nuclear family values?
There you are. You missed our royal ball.
We met the most amazing princess, but they ran away, and all they left behind was this.
Everyone, there's something I need to tell you. The princess who came to your ball tonight was me. I'm Gonzarella.
Bomboka!
But Gonzo, why didn't Vu tell us?
Because you all expected me to look a certain way. I don't want you to be upset with me, but I don't want to do things just because that's the way they've always been done either.
No! Yo, you gotta be really careful what your kids watch. You gotta be really careful what your kids, like, where your kids go to school, what they're looking at on the iPad, what YouTube videos they're watching, because this shit is crazy. What is it for, 4-year-olds? What the fuck?
Bomboka!
Gross.
Either. I want to be me.
Oh, Gonzo, we're sorry. It wasn't very nice of us to tell you what to wear to our ball.
You're our friend, and we love you any way you are.
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah.
See, this is why it's so important to have a father in the home. It's clear that Gonzo doesn't have a father in the home to say, hey, take that thing off. You look stupid. Get that thing off of you.
Take that ridiculous thing off.
You know, some people will point out that kid shows in the past have had episodes where boys dress as girls, and
Muslims, I now have a huge... What do you think of this shit?
and that's true. But in the past, whether it was a kid show or something for older kids or you know, older audiences, something like Mrs. Doubtfire, movie from the 90s, Robin Williams, in the past, this plot point was always played for laughs, right? It was supposed to be funny. The point was that boys look stupid in girls' clothes, and we should laugh about it.
Oh, yeah! Well, you know what I think?
Who cares what you think? You're a girl now.
Now the point is that wearing girls' clothes
Yeah, I'm accepting you. You're one of Bababoo.
is great and courageous, and more boys should try it. You know, if you've raised your kids correctly and they were to watch Muppet Babies.
Matt Walsh, you need to get on my stream, man. You could wake up a lot of Gen Z if you get on. I think your message needs to be heard by younger people. Get on my stream, man. Please.
And they saw that, they would start laughing. Like if my boys watch Muppet Babies, which they won't, but if they did and they saw that, they would just laugh hysterically because they would say that's so silly and ridiculous, which it is. But now it's...
Look at Haram in the chat. Haram!
Allahu Akbar!
the goal is quite the opposite of that, which is, among other things, extremely creepy. Next, we have the show Arthur, one that I remember from my childhood as well, the show about a lovable aardvark. I think that's what he is, but I could be wrong. He used to be lovable. Anyway, he's lost a bit of his charm now that he's pushing critical race theory.
Hey, Arthur. Hey, Buster. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I just watched it. It was awful. I can't believe someone would be hurt like that just because they're black.
Racism is so unfair. No one should ever judge someone.
This show fucking sucks now! Why can't it just be entertaining stupid shit? Remember Ed, Edd n Eddy and SpongeBob? It was just people like fucking terrorizing each other, running around. Now, why does everything need to be woke? Why? It's for fucking 4-year-olds!
Someone by the color of their skin.
But how could it happen here, in Elwood City, right outside the Sugar Bowl?
Buster, it happens everywhere. I was talking to Mrs. McGrady the other day.
This seems like a Simpsons parody of Arthur.
She said there's a really long history of black people not being treated fairly in this country.
And like the voices sound weird, right? I grew up with this show. Chad, you grew up with this too? I thought this shit ended. What the fuck happened? What happened?
It has to stop.
We have to do something.
Yeah! But what can we do? I mean, I'm 8. I can't even fry an egg on my own.
I don't know.
Bro, now 8-year-olds need to solve racism. Just let them play with sticks.
Maybe Mrs. McGrady can give us some ideas. Hold on.
Hello, boys. I'm so glad you reached out to me. Yes, I saw the video too. And let me tell you, it made my blood boil.
Me too.
What is this framing? Are they on like video chat? Why are they all... Is this a Zoom call?
It also made me scared. I mean, this happened in our neighborhood.
It is scary, Buster. But you should know that a lot of grown-ups are fighting racism and working hard to keep us all safe.
Why does this keep happening, Mrs. McGrady?
Well, racism is like a disease. If you don't treat it, it's just gonna get worse.
Wait. Also. They're animals. Why the fuck is there racism? I didn't even think about that. Arthur's an anteater? His best friend's a bunny? And this is just a black animal? What animal is this? Why is there racism with animals? Why are they talking about... It's a fucking anteater and a bunny! That doesn't even make any sense! Is this low-key kind of racist? What animal is a black bunny? How does that make any fucking sense?
The disease. If you don't treat it, it's just gonna get worse.
Okay, let me jump in there, Mrs. Grady, if I could. Mrs. McGrady, whatever your name is. Why does it keep happening? Well, for the same reason that unicorns keep shitting on your roof. That is, it's not happening. Like, at all. There have been comparatively few unjustified police shootings of anyone. Statistically, this is undeniable from a statistical standpoint. And almost none of them have any connection to racism. So this is not a thing that's actually happening. And yet the people behind Arthur want small children to imagine they live in a country where black people are being killed left and right for the color of their skin, just like walking on the street. They just get murdered by the cops.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
And by the way, side note, what does race even exist in the Arthur universe?
You can't just invent a holiday, Arthur.
Well, sure you can. My family celebrates Kwanzaa, and that was invented for African Americans by Dr. Maulana Karenga in 1966.
Not sure what's going on there exactly, but let's keep going.
What the hell? I don't remember that in Arthur, bro.
We'll stay on the racial side of things with this from a show that I don't even know what the show is, but it's called Steven Universe. Here it is.
All right, class. Can anyone tell me who invented the light bulb?
Thomas Edison!
That's not entirely true. The light bulb could more rightfully be attributed to
a black guy.
Lewis Latimer, the black inventor behind the filament inside the bulb.
His invention made light bulbs affordable and efficient enough for the general public, bringing electric light into households around the world.
Well, so now you know. Wait, is that it? Hold on. We're not going to mention why he invented the filament? To create a better standard
Black kid catches it.
of living for people who had only just been freed from slavery? Are we going to ask why kids are apparently learning about Thomas Edison?
Thomas Edison!
Ugh, and not learning about Lewis Latimer? These textbooks are incomplete. There were black Roman warriors, black medieval knights, black classical musicians, black cowboys, black fighter pilots. Where are they?
Okay. I don't want to get into a historical debate with a cartoon, but at the same time, no, you could not attribute the light bulb to Lewis Latimer if you actually care about things like the truth and historical accuracy. You know, those little details like that. Yes, Latimer innovated a filament for the bulb. He didn't invent the filament, but he did come up with a better, longer-lasting filament, which is great. That doesn't equate to inventing the light bulb, all right? I could invent a more durable tire or a more reliable braking system. Well, I couldn't do that, but somebody could. That doesn't mean that I get to claim that
you invented the car.
I invented the car, though, and I can't invent the car because it's already been invented, so there's that little detail. As for the actual inventor of the light bulb, there is a debate that could be had about who exactly that was. Edison deserves most of the credit that he gets. Joseph Swan is an English scientist, also developed an incandescent bulb independently, but Joseph Swan was white. So the fact is, many of the most important inventions in modern society were given to us by white people, usually men. Not all, but a great many. That's not a racist statement. That is just a fact. It's also not something to be ashamed of, or embarrassed about, or competitive about.
We're trying to change history now because we're trying to bring white people's esteem down.
Or angry about. Rather than trying to steal this invention from Thomas Edison, when he's not even around to defend himself, how about saying, hey, thanks, Thomas Edison? There are at least one good white guy that's been out there.
Nope, every white guy's evil.
There are many others, it turns out. All right, so no list of woke children's shows would be complete without the Blue's Clues drag queen episode, which maybe you've seen by now, but it's got to be on the list. So let's.
I have not seen that. What happened to Blue's Clues? Blue's Clues was my favorite. This Blue's Clues.
All enjoy that once again.
Hey, Blue, look at all these families. Hi, families. It's time for a pride parade. Families marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. Families marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. This family has two mommies. They love each other so proudly, and they all go marching in the big parade. Families marching 4 by 4, hurrah, hurrah. Families marching 4 by 4, hurrah, hurrah. Trans members of this family all love each other so proudly, and they all go marching in. The big parade. Come join the fun.
This, by the way, is a show for preschoolers. Okay, like 3-year-olds.
What the fuck?
Pushing drag queens and pansexuals. Do you know what a typical plot for Blue's Clues used to be? Steve, who was the guy.
Steve, the goat, bro. Steve, what did they do? It's Adam and they've made it Adam and Steve.
He would lose his glue stick, and he'd have to find it. And he would ask Blue, hey, Blue, do you know where my glue stick is? And Blue would be all coy about it, even though Blue knows where the damn glue stick is.
Jack, this is brainwash for 3-year-olds.
He won't just tell Steve where it is. So he starts planting all these clues around the house. And Steve is very patient. He's like, okay, I got to go through all do the. We're going to spend 30 minutes looking for the damn glue stick. You just tell me where it is, Blue. But he doesn't do that. He actually goes, and so that's the whole episode. Is just Steve trying to find his glue stick. And at the end, he finds it. And that's the end of the show. That was a kid's show. And now we have pansexual toads.
No!
And bisexual turtles singing about their favorite sexual orientation. So a little bit of a different approach, I suppose. Okay, one more. We'll close with lesbian horses on My Little Pony. Let's watch this.
You three truly have a gift for helping ponies.
Aw, thanks, Aunt Holiday, but I'm not sure we can take credit for this one.
Of course you can. You encouraged that colt to try new things. And because you all believed in him, he succeeded.
I could use that kind.
Bro, these are the most popular kids. My Little Pony and Blue's Clues and Arthur. are pushing pansexual shit to fucking 3-year-olds? Don't you see the problem? Is that not really indicative of the Matrix? That 3-year-olds are being programmed for Pride Parade? Just eat a glue stick and run around in the sand. Why are you teaching about trans to 3-year-olds? Why? Why?
Trying to help.
Come on, Auntie Lofty. You already have your cutie mark.
A lot of good it does me. I can't decide what theme to give this quilt. I've run out of inspiration.
How about apples, puppies, kites, or cotton candy, or ballet? What about a Wonderbolt quilt?
See? Leave it to you three to come up with more ideas than I've had in a year. Now that's talent.
Oh, was that it? Okay. I was waiting because, well, first of all, I didn't mean to misgender the horses. That's actually not a horse. That's a unicorn, it would seem. But you know how bad it's gotten? That was the tamest thing we saw. I was like waiting for, that was downright quaint and conservative in comparison to what you normally get from kid shows these days. I mean, it's only a lesbian couple on My Little Pony. The lesbian unicorns, they're not even into like BDSM or anything. There's no subplot where one of them gets a sex change. This is old-fashioned, really.
It's kind of problematic that they're not at a BDSM Pride Parade.
That's how bad it's gotten. And it's just one more reason why you should turn the TV off. Send your kids outside. Let them go run.
And homeschool them. Bomboka! It's not worth it anymore. They're going to get brainwashed by this bullshit, bro. Matt Walsh, do you homeschool your kids? I'm curious.
And play, scrape their knees, bloody their noses a little bit. Minor injuries await them outdoors, but at least they'll still have their souls and their brains.
And I say, man, this is why I need to get out of the States, man. This is why I want to go to another country, get a nice female wife who's not transformed, no purple hair, from outside of the country, and raise them somewhere else, and homeschool them probably, or maybe just find a good school that doesn't teach this shit, because I think it's going to get worse by the time I want to have kids. Do you think I'm overreacting, chat? Or like, is this shit getting to an insane level? I want to watch more Matt Walsh. What did this dude say? Bro, I'm not going to lie. Watching your face drop and your vibe change when you found out about Destiny's bi stuff was the best thing I've seen in a while. Bro, relax, man. It was a little bit of a joke. I don't care if he's bi. No, I don't think he's bi. I think he just says that because he's like really liberalified. I think he's been brainwashed by all the liberal shit, so he thinks he's bi. Come on, man. You're not gay. Let's watch one more Matt Walsh. Let's watch trans YouTuber response to What Is a Woman trailer. And first, chat, you need to watch What Is a Woman. Really, it's one of the best documentaries I've seen in a long time. It really points out the brainwashing that's going on. It points out everything and all the delusion that's going on behind the gender fluidity and trans whatever nonsense. You need to watch it. And Matt Walsh, get on my stream. Let me interview me on my stream. Matt Walsh, I don't always sound that dumb. Let me interview you on my stream so we can wake up Gen Z. Your message needs to be heard for all generations.
Today we have another case of daily cancellation inception, where we respond to somebody responding to me. In this case, it's Jamie Rains, who Wikipedia tells me is.
Now I'm going to react to a response to a reaction to a reaction. I get it, chat. It's annoying, but this is content now.
English YouTuber with over 900,000 subscribers, a research psychologist and LGBT advocate. Rains has a PhD in psychology and has disturbingly, quote, conducted research into the sexual response of transgender men. Rains is also a self-professed, quote unquote, trans man. There have been many YouTube responses to the trailer for my film, What Is a Woman? Also many responses on other platforms, including on Twitter, where the primary response from the left on Twitter has been to mass report it and try, so far unsuccessfully, to get it pulled from the site. So I'm getting these email notifications about reports, people reporting the trailer, multiple times a day. But I'm choosing Rains to respond to because this is a channel with more subscribers than I have and somebody with much more formal education than I have, so nobody can accuse me of punching down. Not that there's anything wrong with punching down, mind you. I'm a firm believer that one should punch in whichever direction needs to be punched. But we'll focus here for now. The video is over 10 minutes long, so we won't be able to pick it apart piece by piece, but we'll watch enough to get the point. Surely, I mean, this PhD psychologist and LGBT activist will be able to swiftly debunk the entire premise of my film and utterly humiliate me in the process. I'm just a transphobe with a high school diploma, after all. Shouldn't be much of a challenge. So we'll see how our friend Jamie Rains does.
It's called What is a Woman? From the Daily Wire, which I think I've heard of, made by somebody or involving heavily somebody called Matt Walsh.
What is a woman?
Immediately, is he wearing a sandwich board that says, What is a woman? Okay.
Can you tell me that?
Good question. In the whole documentary, not one person, even college professors, therapists, experts, they couldn't answer. What is a woman? They don't know how to answer without fucking up their whole ideology about trans identity.
Well, you're at the Women's March. You must have some idea. Please, if one person could tell me what a woman is.
You are not here for women! We ask you to leave!
What is that?
What is that? Oh, wow. So a dude going...
And watch him not answer it either, the whole video.
To a woman's march and going up to women and asking them to define what a woman is.
That's a very good question. It is a woman's march. Like, how do you define the people who are allowed to be marching there?
And probably acting like it's some big gotcha moment. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, let's not forget the sandwich board. I mean, what definition was he looking for? One based off of genitals and reproductive organs? That's a little bit very narrow and not exactly great to boil people down to their parts.
Okay, so answer it. Even, I'm telling you, he's not going to be able to answer a simple question the whole video. Nobody can answer what is a woman.
Okay, well,
Well, woke people can.
First of all, Jamie, how do you know I'm a dude? I didn't tell you that.
Oh!
That was not said.
Sounds like you misgendered him, tranny.
So where'd you get that from? And yeah, it is a gotcha moment. In fact, if people are marching in a women's march and holding signs and chanting slogans claiming that women are under attack and being oppressed,
and they can't even define what it is,
and yet they have absolutely no idea what a woman is and can't begin to define the term, then yes, that's a gotcha moment, as it reveals the inherent absurdity and incoherence of their worldview. But it's not a gotcha moment that I engineer, okay? I'm not backing anybody into a corner. All I did was walk up to them and ask them what the words they're using mean.
In a very respectful and polite way, but still they get triggered by that.
That's a fair question. In fact, that's the fairest question you can ever ask anyone, is when they're using words to say, well, what do you mean by that? How could that be an unfair question? If it becomes a gotcha moment for you, that only shows just how totally vapid and ridiculous your ideology is. As for what kind of definition I'm looking for, well, to start with, I'd like a definition, some kind of definition. Let's just get a definition on the table first, and then we can debate whether it's the right or wrong one. But you guys won't put any definition at all on the table. You act like the word has no meaning at all, like it's just a bunch of arbitrary gibberish, and yet
you're marching for it. That makes no fucking sense. If it's arbitrary, then what are you marching for?
You continue to use the word, and you expect us all to know what it means, or to know what you mean when you use it. So again, is it a gotcha? Yes, it certainly is. But I didn't get you. You got yourself.
We noticed that a couple times today in the stream, right? When you ask questions that stump people, they blame the question instead of the answer. Maybe you should look at the people who are not even capable of answering a simple question like, what is a woman? Is it his fault for asking it, or is it your fault for not making no fucking sense?
Oh, from the controversial mind of Matt Walsh.
I'm a husband. I'm a father of 4. I host a talk show. I give speeches. I write books. I like to make sense of things. A woman is not anything in particular.
There is not one particular thing.
It could be many things to many people. Some women have penises, right? Some
women have penises, right?
men have vaginas.
I like scented candles, and I've watched Sex and the City.
Yeah.
How do I know if I'm a woman?
Oh dear God, what is he doing? Why is he making this? To just show a compilation of people saying it can't be boiled down to one thing. Some women do have penises, like trans women. Some men do have vaginas.
Chat, can women have penises?
Vaginas, like some trans men. And your response is, I like scented candles. Is that what makes a woman?
If you're laughing at that, Goofy, then define what a woman is. If you think it's so ridiculous that he said if I like scented candles and I like feminine bullshit, am I a woman? If you could laugh at that, if you could laugh at how ridiculous that sounds, then define it. If it's ridiculous, define it. And you won't. I promise you, you won't define it the whole fucking video because none of you can.
I don't know. Does it? I mean, you tell me. Because a second ago, you said that a woman can't be defined by her parts. Now you're saying that having an interest in feminine things also doesn't make you a woman. So what does, Jamie? You've declared that neither interests nor body parts define a woman, which would seem to indicate that you have a solid idea in your head as to what does define a woman, and yet you have yet to provide that definition. What if I decide that my love of scented candles makes me a woman? After all, I'm not just talking about
Based on your definition, you could decide that. And I'm glad, chat, you sound a little bit problematic saying no. I don't know, it's a little bit incel of you.
the manly sense, okay? Like leather or bonfire or something. I can go with a lavender candle, okay? That's how girly the candles can get sometimes. And if I say that makes me a woman, who are you to say that I'm wrong? You can only dismiss my scented candle-based definition if you have some other objective definition in mind. But if you don't, if you have no idea what a woman is, then for all you know, a woman is truly just anyone who's purchased a scented candle at any point in their life. That definition is at least better than the definition you're offering.
Which is no definition.
Because you aren't offering any. You're not a scientist. You're not a gender studies major.
No.
How do you know that you're a man?
I guess because I got a dick.
A journey to discover the truth. The truth about what?
What a woman is, dummy!
The truth about what a woman is. It's right there in the title. How are you confused already? That's what this is about.
Genius question, man. I should have asked that in the 1 Minute Podcast.
Try to keep up, Jamie. Can a man become a woman?
I'm not a woman, so I can't really answer that.
Women only know what women are.
What? What? Women only know what women are?
Can a man become a woman? That's a silly question because trans women are not men who become women. They are women who happen to be trans. Just like trans men are not women who become men. We're men who happen to be trans. At least ask the right question.
Wrong.
Well, this is
stupid.
Shocking. I'm appalled. Jamie, are you suggesting that gender is not fluid? Like 90% of people on TikTok identify as gender fluid. Do they not exist? Does TikTok not exist? Are you saying their identities are not valid? Are you marginalizing gender fluid people? Because in fact, according to your worldview, a man can absolutely become a woman. An individual could identify as a man one day.
And then flip the next week.
And a woman the next. So in fact, an individual could identify as a man 1 minute and a woman the next. And each of those identities are valid and true, right? Isn't that what you think? If you are whatever you identify as, and you identify as a woman after having identified as a man, that would mean that you became a woman. You were one thing, and now you're another. So you became the other. Unless gender fluidity is false. Is that what you believe? You're a fluid phobe? Duly noted, Jamie. Are you a cat?
No.
Can you tell me what a cat is? Do you want to tell us what a woman is?
Yes. I mean, I don't know if this is lovely editing or if this is actually how...
Nah, I watched the documentary. It's actually how it went. She said, only a woman could define what a woman is. He says, are you a cat? Can you tell me what a cat is? And she just walks away. You got nothing. That's how dumb your logic is.
Went down. But ask somebody to define an animal. Yeah, that really makes sense. Asking someone...
No, it's not. A cat is a fucking thing with pointy ears that meows and licks its paws and goes...
To define an animal that has nothing to do with the human concept and language of gender and sex is really not the clever move he thinks it is. I could bring up the example when a well-known transphobe tried to define a chair, and then multiple people pointed out to him that that definition could also work for horses. So well done, a horse is now a chair, apparently.
No, see, you're confused again. The point of the cat question was not to quiz that person about the definition of a cat.
To point out the poor logic in your identity bullshit, that you can identify whatever you want and only women can define what a woman is.
The point was to respond to the claim that only women can know what women are. And first of all, as I discovered at the Women's March, that's not true because lots of women don't know what women are. And second, you can absolutely know what something is without being that thing. Everybody knows what a cat is, and yet none of us are cats. I also know what a Chinese person is, despite not being Chinese. I know what planets and sandwiches and mice and trees and Mark Wahlberg is, despite the fact that I'm not any of those things. I even know what a chair is. That's not a hard question. That's a seat built for one person, usually with 4 legs and a back. There you go. That's a chair.
You see how, like, when you break it down and you apply this identity bullshit from gender to other things, how ridiculous it sounds? Because if you can identify whatever you identify, then nothing makes sense. You apply that logic to chairs, glasses, microphones, and none of it makes any sense. Everything is my truth, my truth. There needs to be a truth, the truth. Not everybody could just define their own truth. That's when we live in delusion world.
That definition would not apply to horses because horses aren't built, okay? Let's keep going.
I'm a biological woman that medically transitioned to appear like a male. I will never be a man.
Oh. No, no, do not agree with that.
No, are you not agreeing with his identity?
99.99999% of trans men will very strongly disagree with that statement. Don't know if that person actually identifies as a trans man. By the sounds of it, they were assigned female at birth and transitioned in the sense of taking testosterone and living within society as a man. But yes, sure, for the purposes of your seemingly transphobic documentary, go and find one of the very
transphobic documentary because you're asking a question. He hasn't said anything transphobic. He's just trying to debunk your logic and it works.
Very few trans people who holds these kind of gender critical transphobic-y views on trans people and include them. Ignore the many thousands and the vast, vast majority of trans people who will very strongly disagree with this very, very small number of trans people who will say things like this.
But who cares if Scott Nugent's views are in the minority among trans people? Trans people are in the minority among the general population. If you can dismiss Scott for
then you can dismiss all trans people
being in the minority, then can't I dismiss you?
Flawed logic. Man, it's just too easy.
For being in the minority? Also, I did not ignore other trans people. We talked to lots of trans people in the film, some of whom you've already seen in the trailer, despite claiming that we ignored them. We tried to speak to many more trans people, but they refused to speak to us. And this is a pretty common phenomenon, right? Trans activists claim that nobody will talk to us. Oh, why don't you talk to us? And yet, when I try to talk to them, they literally run away. I mean, literally get up and run away in some cases. Okay, jumping ahead now, we get to the part of the trailer where I'm talking to a gender-affirming pediatrician about the...
So fucked up. Chat, did you know about this? Have you heard about this idea? Gender-affirming pediatricians? That's why you need to watch this documentary, because I didn't really know that existed. And I remember having this conversation when the trans thing really started blowing up, like talking to my parents, like, do you really think they should give trans hormones to 12-year-olds? I'm like, well, if that's how they identify, like, bro, we can't vote. You can't go to war. You can't even drink until you're 21 in America, but you could take fucking testosterone. You could take, like, fucking hormone-altering drugs. And now they even have gender-affirming pediatricians. How does that make any sense? A pediatrician is a doctor for children, and they gender affirm you? What doctor shouldn't affirm an idea? A doctor's supposed to be like diagnose your body, not an idea that's made up in your head.
Quote unquote gender affirming about the chemical castration drugs she gives to kids. Well, I say I'm talking to her about it, but it's more accurate to say that I tried to talk to her about it. She threatened to storm out of the interview, and as soon as I correctly noted that the puberty blocker Lupron is used to chemically castrate pedophiles. And then that's what brings us to what Jamie has to say about all this. Let's listen.
Puberty blockers have actually been used in cis kids with precocious puberty for a very long time, decades as well.
Puberty blockers, that's fucked up. And it's disguised as woke. And I think this is proof of the matrix, of the veil. The fact that they disguise something that's going to ruin a child, ruin a person, a puberty blocker, and they disguise it as woke. They disguise it as inclusive. They make you feel like you're empathetic. They make you think that it's the right thing to do, that you're really progressive, when in reality, you're fucking up a person for life. A puberty blocker? A 10-year-old knows what they want to do for the rest of their life? Bro, you don't even know. People in college, I'm 23, people around my age don't even know what they want to do yet. And you're gonna give him puberty blockers? You're fucking up that kid for life.
decades, precocious puberty being when puberty starts too early, so they use puberty blockers to hold it off a bit till the child is a more appropriate age. There has never been a fuss over cis kids with early puberty having access to puberty blockers in the same way that there has been a fuss over trans kids. They're the same drugs, they're used in the same way to hold off puberty until a child is ready to go through puberty. No.
Fuck that. It holds off on puberty until a child is ready for puberty. These brainwashed parents fucking up their kids thinking they're progressive. This is the shit I'm afraid of. This is proof of the Matrix, is what I'm talking about. And Juan donated and said that the Kinsey part, yes, there was this doctor who pretty much, like, the documentary explains it perfectly. It was this really sick doctor who did all these crazy experiments on children. I don't want to say all of it. It's really disgusting. And then wrote all these books. And then trans people adopted it as their Bible. But this guy was a fucked up, like, experimental child. Like, he was just doing fucked up shit to kids. Like, doing all these experiments. And they, like, trans people praised it. And so that's why these fucking idiots go around saying puberty blockers are a good thing because they think they're really woke. No, this is some satanic shit going on.
No one ever gave a shit about puberty blockers until it became widely known that they were used to help trans kids.
Okay, Jamie, lean in close here so you can hear this. I want you to hear it. So pay close attention. Precocious puberty is a physical condition. It's an ailment, often caused by tumors on the ovaries or adrenal glands, or by problems with the nervous system or genetic syndromes. Precocious puberty happens when a child's body is doing what it is not supposed to do naturally. That's why we call it precocious, meaning it's happening earlier than it's supposed to. There are also direct physical consequences to not treating precocious puberty, such as the potential for stunted growth and other problems. But puberty blockers for, quote, trans kids are used to treat, quote unquote, puberty that is not precocious. There's no physical problem. Puberty is happening exactly when it's supposed to. So on the one hand, we have puberty blockers used to treat early puberty in children with a physical health condition. And on the other, we have puberty blockers used to stave off normal puberty in children with no relevant physical health condition. It's very similar to the difference between top surgery for physically healthy girls and a double mastectomy for someone with breast cancer. And you don't see a difference in these two scenarios? The difference is that they are literally opposites of each other. That's the difference. I know it might be a little too subtle for you PhDs, not the most perceptive bunch, I've learned.
Is it transphobic to tell the truth?
The interview's over. Let's turn off the cameras.
Excuse me.
They're fair. I just wanted to know, what is a woman?
Woke people can't even have conversations, man. It's transphobic to ask a question now.
And you're not going to find out.
Based on what I'm saying, would you ever want to move to America?
They say no, never.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Honestly, that felt like a hot mess and was just filled with all of the transphobic dog whistles and transphobia that was thinly veiled as caring about children.
Yeah, shut up. Shut the fuck up, man. That's what the best part of the documentary was when Matt Walsh goes to this African, the Maasai tribe, I think, and he asks them all this stuff like, can a man become a woman? And he's like, you mean a woman with a penis? No. They are confused. Like, what about a man that becomes a woman? You mean a man with breasts? Oh, no. And he's like, what about gender fluidity? You mean a man and a woman at the same time? Oh, they are crazy. And these are the most, like, grounded, natural people in the world. And they're making fun of your fucking horse shit, and you just call it transphobic.
Truth is, these people, the people with these views and the transphobic views and making films like this, will not have had any concern for the cis kids receiving the exact same treatment, and I'm not saying they should have. What I'm pointing out is that they all of a sudden have concern and are pouring money and resources into making stuff like this to just on an incredibly discriminated against community within society. Why? It doesn't make sense to me. There's just a lot of fear-mongering going around, there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of half-truths, there's a lot of dog whistles, and there's a lot of people buying into it. When in reality, trans people, we just want to live our lives, okay?
No, you don't. You don't just want to live your life. You want to indoctrinate children. You want to give kids puberty blockers. You want to infect the next generation with your horse shit. It's everywhere. It's not just like for a select small population of people, like adults who feel like they were born in the wrong body. You're trying to get kids to believe in this bullshit. You don't know how to stop. You want everybody to join. It's become a fucking disease, man. And they all think that kids should take puberty blockers. Go the fuck away from my children. Stay, like, go to your pride parade. Get away from me. Disgusting.
Trans kids deserve access to trans-affirming healthcare, which again...
Trans-affirming healthcare?
Just reminding you, a majority...
People are brainwashed. I'm tired of like sitting by and just pretending like, oh, well, these people... This shit is fucking delusion. It's gender dysphoria. They're mentally just... And a lot of the time, man, if you don't believe me, look at the subreddit r/dtrans. These people do it because it's fun to be like in this, oh yeah, what are you gonna say about it, straight guy? And then once that wears off, they're like, fuck, I miss my dick. Shit, I want my titties back. It's delusion. It's delusion, man. And I'm tired, I'm really tired of like playing this woke game with them and acting like this shit is not just a fucking mental illness. It's fucked up what's really going on. They're trying to get your kids too. Keep your kids away from this. Be really careful who you bring who you hire as a pediatrician, who your teachers are, because a lot of them are trying to get them too. And they think they're being woke, but really they're trying to convert your kid to their nonsense.
Majority of which is purely just social. And then the other little bit is puberty blockers.
So a lot to parse through here, but I couldn't help but note, Jamie, that you never said anything specifically about the African tribe. I mean, they were...
Just quickly avoid all that part.
Literally laughing at the very...
And the best part is like most trans people are just like mid-white people, and then they get black people and they just start laughing at your goofy shit, and you don't know what to say because you're going to come off racist, and you're used to being the victim, but you can't be the victim to them.
Idea of transgenderism. And they had a lot more to say, which you'll see in the film when it comes out on June 1st. But you seem to let them off the hook.
The film was called What is a Woman, chat?
Called Scott Nugent a transphobe and me a transphobe, but you seem somehow reluctant to call out the bigotry of that group of Africans that I spoke to?
Because they just tie whiteness into it.
It's kind of interesting. As for your claim at the end that most trans-affirming healthcare, quote-unquote, for kids is social and the rest is puberty blockers, well, you're lying. As you know, kids are getting surgery as young as 14 or even younger, potentially. They're chopping the breasts off of minors. That's part of the trans-affirming healthcare that you seem to want to skate around.
Imagine like, damn, man.
The puberty blockers we've already covered, they're not reversible, they're not safe, and these are indeed the exact same drugs they use to chemically castrate convicted pedophiles. The social transition that you talk about is designed to, and almost always has the effect of, putting kids on the path to medical transition a little further down the line, as you also know. So the distinction between social and medical transition for kids is misleading at best, but no surprise there. As a trans activist, misleading people is what you do best. Speaking of which, I noticed something else, Jamie. You just gave a whole 10-minute response, and yet you never did actually respond to the question.
Like I said in the beginning of this reaction, he would never answer, or she, I don't know what the fuck, would never answer, what is a woman? Just avoid it, call it transphobic, use all the keywords that all of them fucking say, and they can't answer a simple question, what is a woman? Because they don't know. Any answer is going to go against their fucking identity bullshit.
Kind of curious. Your response could have been 15 seconds. You could have invalidated and debunked the whole film, humiliated me, and scored a major victory against transphobia simply by providing a definition of woman that's coherent and consistent with gender ideology. But you didn't. Is that because you're polite? So polite that you'll repeatedly accuse me of bigotry and call the film a hot mess, but not provide the one thing that would actually debunk the central premise of the film?
That's all they know how to do. All they know how to do is cancel you, but they can't debunk your logic.
Is it politeness, or are you sitting on a gigantic house of cards and you know it, and you know I know it, but you don't want anyone else to know? Well, I guess that's just another question that I'm asking, even though I already know the answer. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did...
Yo, W. Matt Walsh, man. Matt Walsh, get him on stream! Get him on stream! We need to spread this info! Let's try to save these people before they fucking chop their titties off, man. Come on, man. Get him on stream.
That's it.
Your job?